Thank you very much.
Hello,
I knew
guys.
she was. I knew you were on here listening the whole time.
I love to listen. I love to to hear what everybody has to say. It's been a great morning. Hi.
Yeah. Thank you again for joining us on the call. So as I've been asking all the coaches, going into this week, we're about 5 games in for all the teams in the conference. Going back to non-conference and now these first early games, what are your thoughts on your team going into this week's play?
Well, pre-conference, we lost 4 games, and it felt like the end of the world each time we lost one. But looking back now, they were great learning experiences, and we did lose to, I believe, 4 tournament teams. Auburn, we lost to them in Tennessee, played them a pretty good game, Jacksonville and UAB. So they were we learned something from all of those, but they were painful losses. But hopefully, like the other coaches have mentioned, hopefully prepared us for Sun Belt Conference play. And, and in play, I just have to say, of course, I feel extremely blessed to be among the top teams right now and to be 5-0. When you look at the talent level in this conference and you look at the coaches that are in this conference, I'm extremely humbled and thankful to be doing, as well as we can. Of course, we're shooting for something special. We do have 7 seniors, and, we are shooting for something special, and we're shooting for a championship. And, but a lot of times it doesn't go completely smoothly when you're trying to do something like that. And to be 5-0, we're very happy.
Coach, you're the defending tournament champions from last year's conference tournament, and you returned basically your whole starting lineup without Ashley Beverly Kelly. What's been really the difference between last year's team going into this year?
Well, it is a little misleading to see that, we do have 7 seniors, but we haven't had 7 healthy seniors this entire time. This past game was the first time we dressed 15 people out. We have 15 on our roster, but, Kristen Emerson was a starter for us last year, and she has been out most of the season, with a shoulder injury, and is, trying to take steps to get back in. We've had Tekiera Gibbs, who was a starter for us about half of our games last year, that's been out and has made her way back in and played. She had a torn Achilles. So, even though we do have 7 seniors, we through injuries and we've had to play freshmen as well. We've played freshmen and just like a lot of other people in the conference. So we've been battling to find our identity, not only without Ashley Beverly Kelly, but through some injuries that fortunately we are getting players back now at this time.
Coach, what's it mean for your team to be off to one of the best starts in Troy Trojans women's basketball history, 5-0 in Sun Belt play, and also with your overall record?
I mean, it's an honor. Ever since I got here, we've been trying to swing with both fists, trying to make strides in this program and do things that have never been done before. And that's one of the things that we that's our identity and what we sell to our recruits. And what we hope to have buy-in from our players is that, this isn't a school where you come and it's rich in tradition in women's basketball and you're another person on the wall, that did another amazing thing. I mean, we're trying to do amazing things and create a lot of firsts here. So, this being 5-0, I was told that's the best start in program history for conference play in Division I history. And so every little rung in the ladder we can set our foot on and step up on, we're trying to do that. So, of course, last year, winning the tournament and getting to go to the NCAA tournament, that was a huge step up for us. And every little piece of footing we can find as a first and as a mark of progress, we're trying to take those steps.
Coach, as usual, the offense for your team is one of the tops in the nation in terms of scoring. What's been the key to putting up the numbers this year for your team?
Well, it starts with who you sign to your roster. And, I mean, I stood in front of my team the other day and I said, hey, guys, every one of y'all were great scorers in high school or we wouldn't have signed you. I mean, it's just what you do to fit in our program. And, of course, we have UALR next. And I told them I would imagine their coach there doesn't sign people who let people buy him on defense because he's so defensively minded. It's two opposite things. But it starts with recruiting and the kind of players we want here. That's our number one priority is can they put up a lot of numbers. So recruiting is first. And then once we get them here, just acclimating them to getting shots off every 7 seconds. That's what our shot clock is on at practice every day, 7 seconds.
Coach, big showdown this Thursday night against Little Rock. What are your thoughts on the upcoming game against the Trojans?
Well, we're right in the middle of a 2-game streak right here where we played other undefeated teams. Of course, coming off a very, very tough Texas Arlington game, they were undefeated, and so we had to get up as much as we possibly could emotionally for that game. And then now, again, we're going to need to get up another undefeated team in Sun Belt Conference play. And so those being back-to-back, that's a great test for us. But specifically about UALR, he did lose some key players, but he's such a great coach, and his system is so great that it's like you don't miss a beat, and that he doesn't miss a beat, So he's got a great system that he's running, and he's got some great athletes in it. So it's tough. It's the toughest draw for us because they're so darn good on defense, and that's a problem for us. We like to score points quickly and easily, and he just doesn't let that happen. So the other contingent in there is what our last meeting, was in the Sun Belt Conference Championship, and they had the lead. And at the very end, we were so fortunate to be able to come ahead of them. And, I'm sure their players and coaching staff don't forget that very easily. It's fodder for motivation.
Thanks, Coach. We'll go to our first questions from Whitney Hayworth of the Sun Belt Digital Network.
Good morning, Coach. How are you?
Morning, Whitney. Great. How are you?
I'm doing well. You've probably asked this question a couple times already, but I'm going to ask you as well. This week is obviously the We Back Pat initiative nationwide, and I just kind of want to hear from you a story or two, maybe how she's influenced you in your career. And I know obviously Troy traveled to Knoxville earlier this season, and it's always special for someone to visit Rocky Top and visit the summit where she spent so much of her life, but especially after her passing. Was it any different, and kind of what did your team take away from that this time?
Oh, my goodness. Well, I was very blessed to get to go play at Tennessee this year and play Holly Warlick. My second year here, we got to go play them, and Pat was in attendance at that game. It was sold out, and we played them there. So this year it was different without her being there, but it's always an opportunity to educate our players on, not that we have to tell them who she is, but we want to keep that fresh on our players' mind, how important she is to the game. And so just very special. But my run and gun system, the way that I attempt to score on numbers and the way I coach that, I learned from her. That I try to do the exact same blueprint that she used in how to score on numbers 3-on-2 and 2-on-1. And she had very specific places her players could score from in those situations. And I was able to learn that at a coaching clinic for just hearing her speak, and then later get to speak with her a little bit one-on-one. And I'm sitting in my office, I'm looking at all of her books on my shelves. A couple of them signed, and also every player that I come in contact with when I have those books with me, anybody that was a part of our programs, I have them sign those books. So that's just a broad range question for me because I believe Pat Summitt had so much influence on me as a player and coach.
And then secondly, speaking of initiatives, the Sun Belt announced the Angel Elderkin initiative partnering with the American Cancer Society. So just kind of talk about, what Angel means to you as a peer in this conference and the initiative that will be taking place next week.
Well, I think one of the most important things about the Sun Belt Conference entering into this initiative and this partnership with American Cancer Society to honor, Angel and her fight, I think one of the most important things is our players seeing that. Because you got to think that they only see us when they get out of class. They come see us, and we're full steam ahead on the next scout report or who we have to beat next or what's our game plan or what defense are we going to run. But for them to see us step back and honor her and her fight, and to say, wow, what you see us do 24/7 is basketball, but here's something that takes precedence even over that is our support of our comrades and our fellow coaches and our friends when they have this fight in front of them. And it's been good, like even the moments we mentioned it to our team about how Angel's doing and how she's doing. They have questions, how is she doing that, and coach. And just to hear them and to see us, our sincerity and wanting to support her, I think it's a good life lesson for the women in the Sun Belt Conference in athletics to carry on later. It's prioritizing, these major battles in life. And Angel is, wow, what a competitor, what a great person. I can't imagine anybody having anything but positive things to say about her. And as I've said before, I'm so sorry she was diagnosed with this, but as far as it being a positive influence on others that might be faced with this, she is a positive influence in the person she is and how she fights.
Thank you very much, Coach.
Thank you, Whitney. And Coach Rigby, thanks as always for joining us on the teleconference. We appreciate your time, and best of luck the rest of the way.
Thank you so much.